Hey, welcome to this new episode. It's episode number 6 of IoT Decoded. IoT Decoded is a podcast talking about the LP1 technologies. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the TTN conference, as promised, but I'm really sorry for the delay. I was expecting to make this podcast a month ago, but I've been really busy since the conference. So the conference was in Amsterdam, and it was end of January, so about a month, and we had a lot of people and a lot of fun in this conference. So the TTN conference is really a community conference, which is really good, and I really love that. It's a bit different like company conference, like Sigfox did. I really like also the Sigfox conference, but what I love in a community conference is you had a lot of opportunity to hear many different person and many different experts sharing their experience, and you have an opportunity to learn a lot of technical stuff, and that was the case in Amsterdam. So I spent really 2 marvelous days with the LoRaWAN ecosystem and all the clever people I've seen there. To start, we had a conference about the Sync network itself. And the Sync network itself announced some quite good number about the progression of what they did. It's about the number of messages. I think it's a really interesting number to see that they have processed about 9 billion messages up to now, which is really great. And the progress is 25 million messages per day. So it's really interesting. The frequency you can reach with and LoRaWAN is quite high. So it's not a gigantesque number, but it's really an interesting number to see that it's an open network. There is about 97,000 members in the community. It's also really great to see that number is really high, and even if, maybe some guys I register one or time, but it's a really big community. So it's growing, and that's really good. And the last number I really loved is the number of open source code lines that has been released by the Sync guys. They are about 226,000 line of open source code that have been committed and released for the kernel network of the Sync stuff. So congratulations, guys. You made a really great job for the community. I really love that. So that's really good. During the conference, we have seen a new component of the Sync stuff. It's a packet broker, and I really appreciate this new component, as it's a solution to the roaming difficulties LoRaWAN have. LoRaWAN is mostly a group of private network that are not talking each other, but they are all receiving message from any device coming from any networks. And so there is a lot of messages that are received by one antenna and just rejected because they are not part of the right network. And it's a loss. We have spent energy to send this message, and it will never arrive because you reach the wrong antenna, and that's really bad. Thanks to a packet broker, you can have traffic exchange between private networks and also between public and private and public networks. And so a message received by one antenna can be routed to the right kernel network system to be sent to the final user. So that's really great to have this solution, and it's open source, so anyone can deploy it. It's also provided by the Sync company, so that's also good. And a good example of usage of packet broker is Lacuna Space with satellites. They have chosen to pass through the packet broker to have the space messages route to TTN, and thanks to that, you can have a billing system for Lacuna Space to distribute its connectivity, and you can have all the existing user-friendly solution to receive and manage your messages on TTN. So it's really a win-win situation, and that's really interesting. So through a traffic exchange, you have billable solution like for roaming, and basically we can say that if you receive and send equivalent traffic, it can be free of charge, and if you have someone receiving a lot of traffics to another one, you can have a billable system between the two. So that's a really good solution. So take a look at this if you have such thing, such problem to solve. That's the main component I discovered in the conference, and I found really interesting. The other thing I've seen as a real thing arriving and changing the game is a LoRaWAN 2.4 gigahertz. It's something really interesting because it's also solve a problem of LoRaWAN, which is the worldwide coverage. On ESM band, you have different frequencies. It depends on the country where you are. And it's a bit a mess when you are developing a product to manage this. And more on top of this, you need to know where you are, which is not really easy if you don't have a GPS. So to solve that, there is another approach, which is to have one frequency, which is available everywhere, the same one. And in this frequency, you have the 2.4 gigahertz, which is basically the frequency used by Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and this kind of technologies. And so it makes things easy when you have a mobile device moving and so on. And this is why the first implementations that has been demonstrated during the conference was deploying LoRaWAN on boat. As a boat is moving from Asia to Europe and North America, and so you can change the frequency inside the boat where you are living or entering a zone. It's a bit a mess. So by using 2.4 gigahertz LoRa, they are able to go everywhere on Earth without having any issue with the frequency regulation. So that was interesting. The problem of 2.4 gigahertz is distance, because at this frequency it's really more complicated to pass through the wall and so on, and the distance you can cover is lower. It's also impacted by weather and things like this. So that's an issue. If you want to do a public network with 2.4 gigahertz, it could be a big issue. But as most of the private implementation of LoRaWAN are things like industry or smart building, it's really interesting because even if you can cover something like 200 meters indoor or things like this, it's really good. It's a really good solution for IoT in industry or in smart building. So the applications are really large. And that's really interesting to see that in regard of what I have written about Sidewalk, Amazon Sidewalk technology, where we don't have a lot of information yet, but I've told that the main issue would have been the worldwide coverage for consumer electronic, and the LoRa 2.4 gigahertz is a response to this issue. So that's really, give me some more chance to see Sidewalk to be based on LoRa. I think it's going to be LoRa 2.4 gigahertz. I also heard that LoRa is looking for mesh solution, and also looking for, it's related to mesh for passive reception. So all this information mixed together really makes sense for me to say that we have a lot of chance to see Sidewalk to be LoRa 2.4 with mesh solution. So let's see that we may have the answer in a couple of months. So 2.4 is a reality. There is a chip for that. It's SX12880, sorry, and also the first LoRaWAN gateway have been announced by Multitech on this technology. So it's now a reality. As part of the other announcements, we have Murata that has announced the new SiP chip. It's the 1SG module. So the 1SG module is, we can say, replacing the ABZ module. It's basically the same architecture. You have a STM32L0 in this SiP plus SX1262. So the main difference on the same tech transceiver, it's the new one, the SX1262, and this module it will be available really soon, but unfortunately it will be only available for high volume. So it means that if you're a small company or if you are a hacker and want to use that module, you are going to wait a bit long. And so it's a bit disappointing to see that you have a good solution on the market, but you can't get it because you are not a customer with a big volume. And I'm not sure that all the customers that will come with saying they have big volume will do that big volume. So it's always disappointing to have this way to do business, but that's life. Okay, so the 1SG, it's something interesting, but I mean, in my point of view, it's gonna be really hard for them to reach the market because of the STM32WL that has been announced before Christmas, but detailed a bit more now. And this is not a module, this is really a chip, and that's really interesting. I mean, in fact, what happened is ST has bought a license from Semtech to be able to get the SX IP and to put it on the same die as the STM32 processor. So we are not in a SiP or module or thing like this. We are in one chip containing a STM32L4 and a SX1262 IP in the same die. So it makes it really efficient, really low cost, and really small. So that's really a game changer. Yeah, yes. As regarding the discussion I had with the ST guys, the price for this chip would be something like the price of a SX1262 alone. So basically what ST want to do is to offer you a STM32L4 for the price of your Semtech transceiver. And that's really a game changer. Okay, it's low cost LoRaWAN, so that's really interesting. And you got a powerful system, STM32L4, starting from 64K of flash to 256K of flash. So that's really good. Currently, I've seen only BGA chips, but I'm not sure that potentially some other version will arrive, as BGA is a bit a mess if you want to solder it manually. So let's see that. And that's the best news in the module and chip ecosystem for LoRaWAN I've seen in the past months. So I'm really happy to see that, and I really would like to test it and see it. But once again, why are you announcing such nice things if you can't deliver it before 6 months? I mean, it's a lot of bit disappointing. So we are waiting. That's a long wait, and it's gonna arrive normally in September. So we have to wait. The dev kit will be available not before, and the Sigfox version should be available at the end of the year. So I hope so. So it's gonna be really interesting. This chip will be really not expensive, really small, really power efficient, and we'll be able to do LoRa and Sigfox worldwide. So that's a really good solution for making IoTs. So we really want it, but we have to wait. That's difficult. So we are going to wait a bit for this. On the news, I meet the Coitec team I really want to say a word because I really love that team. It's a small team, Coitec. They are the guys who are doing OT high, which is a good tool to measure power consumption of your IoT device and also to simulate power supplies for an IoT device. I really love that tool and use it on daily basis. So just a word to say I meet you, and I was really happy to meet you. You're good, and continue to do what you do. You do really really good things. Other myths, what's with Lacuna Space? I won't tell a lot of things about this because my previous blog post already talked about this technology. Lacuna Space are the guys who are sending satellites and gateways in space to have LoRaWAN satellite coverage. They are targeting something like 240 satellites on the sky with an objective to be able to capture message every 5 minutes. So your device can send an update every 5 minutes and the satellite constellation will be able to get it. So that's a really promising thing. They are far away from this today because they only have one satellite, but it works well, and that's really interesting. I've seen it, so you can trust that. And in the years they should have something like 3 in the sky. So basically, with one satellite, you can send 2 messages per day. With 3, you are going to be able to send some thing like 6 per day, and 6 per day means 1 every 4 hours. So it's interesting for many use cases. So we can start to do interesting thing with that. And around Lacuna Space, we also have a really great discussion with Fabien Ferrero, with doing the antenna. I really recommend to take a look to his conference if, like me, you really like antenna discussion and radio frequency discussion. That was really interesting, and I mean, you learn a lot by hearing Fabien, and his conference is really accessible, so you can do that. And don't forget to take a look to all the conference of the Sync conference. They are available for free on YouTube. They are really high quality conference, so I really recommend you to take a look to that. You might have something really interesting to hear on this conference. So that's the end for today. I will be back on my monthly podcast frequency, I promise. So I wish you a great month of March, and let's talk together in April now. And by that time, I recommend you to take a look to my blog, www.disk91.com, to get some other information about IoTs and LP1. See you soon.